Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Inner Conquest, the world's greatest modern metaphysics channel. I'm your host, Jacob Edens, and today we're going to be talking about your internal center of power. So, why is it important to understand things like law of assumption, law of attraction, law of reversibility, all these different metaphysical principles? Because what you seek in outside things are essentially a change in your state, right? So, say you're chilling, you're walking around the hellscape of a life you've created. Oh Lord, everything is brutal, dude. Oh no, my job's bad. I'm sick. If I could just go to the water park, then everything would be better. Ooh, I gotta get enough money to go to the water park. Once I get to the water park, we're gonna have so much fun. None of this is gonna matter, right? So think about that scenario. You have a current situation that is unpleasant, and then you go do this other thing, which is now pleasant, okay? What happens is that creates distance between you and states of consciousness, okay? So what the idea is behind law of assumption and essentially what you could call inner engineering is to diagnose the state that you really want, which is a defined parameter of consciousness, right? So what is, you think of United States, each state is an imaginary line drawn around a parameter, okay? So when you embody the state, you're embodying an imaginary parameter of the essence of the experience that you would experience if you did the physical thing, okay? So if your thing is water park, right? You can reverse engineer what it is you feel or think that you want out of the water park, and you can embody that state now, right? Because what happens is when you come into this reality, it's essentially you pushed out, right? So when you have an energetic frequency, when you're an electromagnetic being, what that means is that you have an electromagnetic field, a toroidal field in your heart that is magnetized, is what glues your soul into the body. You're magnetizing things to you all the time based on what you could call your unique individualized resonant frequency, right? And frequency is just code for vibration. So whatever your vibration is, you can understand vibration better by looking through what is a word, right? So when you think of, hey, let me do an affirmation, right? You're affirming a state of being. You're using language. Well, what is language? Language is labels placed on vibrations. So if I go, I can spell that OM as well. And if I go, hey, go Om, you see the OM, you read the OM, and in your mind you go, see what I'm saying? So it's a label for a vibration. So everything has a vibrational component to it, right? So if my idea is that the version of me at the water park is going to be crushing and having a great life, right? What can happen is you can see through second causation that you need the water park to embody the state of being at the water park, right? And it sounds silly because you're like, just go to the water park, dude. And I'm not saying to not go to the water park, but I'm saying if you create traps within your mind, you create prison realms where it's like, in order for me to embody this state, I have to achieve these four things. And then you also have counter beliefs against these four things as to why they can't happen for you. You permanently loop yourself in a non-fulfillment reality. So it's very important to understand that if you have conditions on embodying any state, you've already set yourself up for failure because those conditions will make you their slave 100% of the time, okay? So if I need this to do this, then this thing is my God because this thing is more powerful than me. If I don't have this, then I can't do anything, right? So what would an all-powerful creator be if he needed to have, a glove on? The glove is the power because without the glove, you couldn't do the magic tricks or whatever, right? So you have to disempower all second causation. And when you do that, you go back to what's called the pearl of great price, which is the thing that is worth so much that you can purchase everything with it, right? The vendor goes and he's looking for the most valuable pearl in existence, and he's willing to sell everything that he owns, all of his wares, because he knows once he has the pearl is so valuable it can buy anything. So that's essentially what your consciousness is, right? Because if you have a belief in, I need the money to get this thing, I need this to get this thing, and you don't have a reflection of that currently, then what happens is you put yourself in a distance spacing observership relationship with the ideal state of being that you want to have, right? So you have to just essentially think fourth dimensionally, because if you have linear thought processes, you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, now we're here. Fourth dimensional is you go, okay, this is A and this is B, right? That's scriptural through mentalism, lexicon. I am the Alpha and the Omega. Jesus represents your wonderful human imagination. I'm the beginning and the end, okay? So you're imagining that you want something. Instead of going down a linear external journey that implies through your identification with your actions that you are not the version that has what they want now, you simply go to the very end and orient yourself as if you have it now from an internal standpoint, understanding that everything is pushed out of you, right? So the same way that if you go to a coffee shop and you're super angry, right? And you're just throwing punches at everybody. And then you go and you're like, why is everybody trying to fight me every time I go into a coffee shop? This is bullshit. Coffee shops always try and fight me every time I go into them, right? Well, it's because your energy is one of aggression and anticipation and expectation of fighting every time you go into the coffee shop. You're angry, right? Think about it. You're at a coffee shop. Some dude comes in. He goes, who wants to fight me? And then he starts throwing hot coffee on you. You're going to go up and fight him. So you have to understand that frequency energy isn't just, complementary to anger. It can be complementary to abundance. It can be complementary to freedom. It could be complementary to intelligence. It could be complementary to anything, and it can also be antagonistic to anything. So understanding your core resonant frequency, which is just a fancy word for your beingness of who you are from an identity level, is going to get pushed outward and reflected. And the ultimate freedom comes when you understand that those second causes are effects of that internal identification, because that internal identification is entirely under your control. So once you understand that, you can go, oh, wait, okay, I want to be at the water park. What do I really want from the water park? Oh, I really want relief from having to do a fucking 9 to 5 or whatever, right? That's why I idealize the water park, because I have a reality that I've created that fucking sucks. And if I do this, then this will be better. So you think, if you were at the water park, what would you be doing? You'd be having a bunch of fun. You'd be thinking about things. You'd be looking at hot chicks or other way around, right? Whatever you want to do. So when you're at the water park, you're in a state of freedom, fun, and doing whatever the fuck you want and not really worrying. And if you can diagnose that as what you want, not only can you take that state and extrapolate it and install that into yourself. So now, not only do you have the state of being at the water park, you can integrate that as your normal state of being. So the way that you feel on that occasion, you now have access to chronically, which makes your entire life the way that you want it to be. Because now you can go, what do I want? Why do I want that? I have it now, right? And then essentially you build that internally through either mental movies, holding feeling states, storytelling internally with internal dialogue, revision, whatever you want. Those are your tools, right? So you diagnose what you want, you construct it internally, you define that as your real reality in the same way that if you're a professional basketball player and you know you're the greatest basketball player and you lose 3 games, you go, no, that's bullshit. I'm the greatest basketball player. I don't care about that. I know who I am, right? Like you have that conviction in knowing who you are because that internal is always expressed outwards. So even if you fall off the path or you believe a faulty belief or you do something that's whatever, you just understand that that's a transient thing because everything outside of you is always moving and malleable, but you are always thinking and focusing. So you never change, right? The real you never changes. So once you understand that mechanic, now you have an unwanted situation and you understand that if you give that thing power external to you, it's going to control you like a tyrant. So you decide, no, that's stupid because I created that thing. So why would I let something that I created control me unless I'm ignorant of how things work, right? So once you understand how things work, you go, I'm not going to let something I created control me. So you give yourself power over that. And the reason that you have an element of your consciousness that is considered your wonderful human imagination, your Christ, which is also labeled as a savior, right? What does that mean? Well, you have something external that's not the way you wanted it to be. The only way out of that, right? Because if you keep engaging with that and validating that and affirming that that's your reality, you essentially place a judgment, which is a freeze frame on it. Take morality out of judgment for a second. If I say this is the way it is and it's never going to change, I'm using my spells and my words and every ounce of my being to create reality thought and speech are the eternal guides of man, meaning those are your tools forever. So you might as well get fucking good with them, right? If I'm using my tools to say, no, this is how it is, it's never gonna change, na 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 boo boo, I'm creating that. I'm saying that's how it is, right? It's like if you have a kid and that kid loses a basketball game and you look at that kid and you go, that kid's always going to be a fucking loser, right? It's so mean, but like, you're always going to be a failure, right? You don't know that. That kid could learn from that. That kid has to learn from those failures to become great. He can't just be given everything on a silver platter. He has to understand the dimensions of the game, and he has to get that self-confidence and build himself up. So if you say that this is that way because it looks like this on the surface, you cast that freeze frame on that thing, right? Which essentially will put you in a reality loop with it over and over and over again until you go, nope, it's not like that. Nope, it's actually good, right? But it'll keep showing itself to you in lots of evidence because of the energy and intention you put into it. So as you get better and better and better at judoing all this stuff that you created when you're unconscious, you just go, nope, that's not a big deal. Nope, that's not. It's actually like this. You go through a little hellscape, right? Because all of your internal shit doesn't match the new reality that you want, and all of your external stuff only matches your old internal shit. So you're essentially walking blind through reality when you start doing this, right? And that's where the faith thing is so harped upon, because if you don't have loyalty to that unseen reality, you fall back into the external world, meaning that you just freeze frame everything again. So when you're essentially interpreting scripture, another good one to understand is walking on water, okay? So when you say internally that this thing is resolved and you're seeing it done the way you wanted it to, you're using your imagination like an actual creator, not like a regurgitator of reality, and you're actually creating something new, and you're actually doing what you want to do because now you have self-worth, and now you're a badass, and you're like, oh my God, I don't have to fucking revisit these old dog shit states because it doesn't fucking matter. I'm actually the creator of my reality. I can actually create what I want because I deserve it, and because I'm great, and because whatever. So now you're doing these new things, and then boom, old reflection, boom, old reflection, boom, old reflection. And you're like, nothing's changing. What am I fucking doing? That's the premise of walking on water, dude, is you walk on the water and you don't fucking look down, right? Because the second you look down, you go, holy shit, how's this water sustaining me? Boom, you're done. You're fish food now. You're a fish food sandwich. You're a McFish sandwich, right? You're fish filleted, you're cooked, you're done, you're seaweed, you're underwater. And guess what, dude? There's sharks down there and they're gonna eat you, dude. So when you're walking on water, you're walking on water. How do you walk on water? You don't think about walking on water, you just fucking do it, okay? So when you're in that new reality, you're doing it. Why? Because that's who you are now. Doesn't matter. But what, shut up. But what if, no, this is what it is, right? And that is that pure alignment of being able to orchestrate your internal being based on the merits and quality of your internal being for the sake of the internal quality of your inner state. If you think about the best games that you play, the games that you play are for the enjoyment of the game. So if you want to diagnose your fourth dimensional reality, your imaginative body, or whatever you want to call it, to a game, what is the game, okay? So I see something outside that I either want or isn't the way that I want it. Okay, so say I want a Ferrari, okay, and I look in my garage and I go, oh my God, there's no Ferrari. And then I look and I see a guy driving a Ferrari. I'm like, I would like to drive a Ferrari, okay? So what do? You can either go, that's stupid, that guy probably doesn't deserve that, I think that that dude should, whatever. Or you look at this car and you're like, God damn, I have to get a bunch of money to get this fucking car, and now I got to get a second job, and now I got to sell my wife and kids, and I got to do all these things to get the Ferrari, right? Okay, so all of those imaginative acts are implied accepted realities on faith, meaning that you just accept that they're how they are. You don't question that at all. You just say, okay, this is how it has to be because I read that in a magazine, or my dad or my mom or somebody told me this. And so now I have to do this thing to get this thing on a condition, and I can't have this unless this condition's met, etc., right? Boom, you're in the slave mind because you're giving creative control to the external world, which is the only thing you can't do because it doesn't give a fuck about you. It's amoral and reflective. Does a mirror care about you? No, a mirror reflects you. So fuck that thing. What you do is you assume that it's already yours from that internal state. And if you think of it like this, your internal fourth dimensional self is a blueprint reality, okay? It is a real reality at a higher dimension that is plugged into you in a slower dimension, meaning that when it's super fast in your mind, I can see red Ferrari, blue Ferrari, orange Ferrari. I can change the tires on it. I can change the cockpit. I can change everything immediately. Boom, 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 boom. Got it the way I want it. Now, I have my goal. This is what I am. This is who I want to be. This is what I want to possess or do or be or have. I have that image. Now, what do? I accept it as a reality in my third dimensional reality with no evidence, physical evidence. Mentally, I only sustain myself with the thought of having that thing. This is who I am. This is what I have. Every time I go into the garage, in my mind, because it's not physically there in a third dimensional reality, I use my power of visualization because that's my blueprint reality. In the same way that an architect blueprints a house. He walks up to a plot of land. There's no fucking house. But he goes, this would look sick here. This would look good. This, and this. And the only thing that'll stop that architect if he goes, probably won't happen because I'm going to have to get somebody to get lumber here. And I don't see any lumber around. So I guess it's probably not going to get built because there's no lumber right here on the lot already. No, dude, the lumber comes because you're building the house. That's a component. A house is not just lumber. It's one aspect of it, okay? So no, you're building the house. You don't care. The house is already done. You're like, no, this is the house we're doing. I know this is what it's going to look like. It's going to be pink. It's going to be purple. It's going to look like Scooby-Doo. It's going to be sick, right? You're like, you made that decision that this house is here and you don't care what has to happen to do it. You just know that's already done, right? So you go in the garage, you go, no, my Ferrari's right there. I see it right there. It's already done. I want to go for a ride. Mental imaginative act of me driving it because that's a direct vibrationally aligned internal climate to you having the thing. You have to understand the difference between having and not having, being and not being, right? So when you be something, you are it, first person experiencing it now, right? And what'll happen a lot of times is when you try to go into that state of having it, you'll find a counter state that tells you you can't have it. And that's what's called a contrasting counter belief. What is a belief? A belief is a thought that you repeat over and over and over again until you've eradicated all the contradictory energy from it. A good example of a belief is your name, okay? So my name is Jacob. But if somebody comes up to me and goes, hey, Kevin, I go, who are you talking to? But I could have been called Kevin. And if somebody came up to me and said, hey, Kevin, I would have been like, yeah, my name's Kevin, right? I completely accept that with zero contradictory energy, okay? So as you begin to accept things that you can't see yet is already done, that is in your favor, now you've really got it. Because the only things that you really accept in this current reality and why everything's so not cool is that you accept that everything is not the way you want it to be and you're not the person you want to be now. So when you do that, you're essentially executing the law extremely to perfection of you just accepting that you don't have what you want and it's never going to change. You just don't question that. You're like, no, that's like this. So your first phase is you challenge all that shit. You go, why can't I have money come in every day? Why can't I fucking do what I want to do all day, every day? Why can't I do this? Why can't I have the best relationships? Why can't I be super healthy? Why can't I do what I want? Why can't I be extremely happy? Why can I play this human game in such a way that's extremely satisfying to me, to where I understand that this is the hardest game ever, but if I am a badass at this game, then that makes me a super badass. Meaning that if I can come into a place where I forget who I am, learn a bunch of lies from everybody who also forgot who they are, doesn't necessarily mean that they are trying to lead you down a dark path. It's just everybody has a memory wipe in here, right? So when you come into this bitch, you're like learning from people who've also had a memory wipe and don't fucking understand any of this. And you're just believing all that shit. So you understand the context of the game that you're playing, because now you understand that the reason your life is all fucked up is because you have all of these thoughts and accepted beliefs about how reality works that are not in your favor. So of course it can't work in your favor. This is this, but this is hard. I could do this, but I can this. At this age, you start to get old and break down. Oh, this, and this. And all fucking downloaded into your supercomputer of a body that magnetizes shit to you all the time. So once you realize that, you go, this is fucking stupid. So now I'm going to exclusively work in my favor. Why? Because I'm the only person who has to live with me. Meaning that I'm the only individual who has to wake up, fucking look myself in the mirror, do shit all day with me, right? I'm not fucking, if I have a wife and kids, right? I'm going to be with them maybe a majority of the day, but when I go to bed, I'm still sleeping as me. So as you understand that, you begin to really take yourself seriously in the way that you actually do things for yourself because of your own will, in your own volition, in your own decision-making process from a place of esteem, right? You go, dude, I've got to live with me every day. So no matter what anybody or anything tells me, it's secondary and tertiary to myself, because, dude, yeah, I can get this thing working well. Yeah, I can get this thing doing what I want it to do. And yeah, I can go and do these things. But bro, I'm going to be with this motherfucker 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So by definition, if you're putting priority on what is important, it's ensuring that you like yourself and have yourself the way that you want it to be. So as you prioritize yourself and as you build yourself up into a legit elite human, you're now in a position to where you're like, every day's fucking awesome because I created myself in a way that's fucking awesome. And that starts with selectively choosing what you want and thinking as if you are that now and having what you want. Because anytime you run into something that's not the way you want, what you're really not liking is the state of consciousness that's producing it, because everything's produced through states of consciousness, meaning that defined imaginary parameters of awareness, right? So if I'm aware all day, every day, of little baby lizards coming out of the woodworks and attacking me, and I'm like, this is fucking hell, right? There's no actual baby lizards. It's just your mind, a mental state that is like a hellscape that you've created that's not good. And every time you go outside, you see a lizard, you're like, oh, right? You create a state that is essentially something that you've constructed and empowered through your focus and belief in it, that is in an implicative way defined as a non-fulfillment reality that implies you're not who you want to be and you don't have what you want to have. And then you run all over the place trying to fix everything externally, but this thing stuck to you like a cloud. A good example is poverty, right? If you've had a poverty consciousness for a long time, you do all this shit externally. Well, I applied for the job, I did this, I worked really hard, I still never make ends meet. It's because your whole frequency is calibrated to not enough. So just think on the base level what it's like to have enough. And then you go, oh, okay, well, I'm doing this shit, I'm seeing all these things, and you realize you don't know what it's like to fucking go through the day and buy shit all day. You don't know what it's like to go every single day and purchase fucking thousands of dollars worth of things. Because as soon as you do that, you're like, I purchased this thing, oh, I feel bad, that's too much money, I shouldn't do that. Well, you're coming from a concept that there's a limited amount of it, and that for whatever reason, it's bad if you spend it, even though there's a plethora of it, right? That's a self-concept issue that you have to understand and diagnose, because even if you get all the trappings on the external, you're going to feel bad and you're going to be afraid, oh, if I lose this, then I'm fucked, right? So in order to understand how to actually be something, you need to practice being it all the time. And the most liberating thing is that once you get over that hump of understanding that internal dynamics precede the external dynamics, you're able to be a sovereign individual, because now whatever you want, you can go into that state right now. There is no waiting. You don't have to have patience at all, because you know, no matter what you fucking do, that shit's gonna get expressed. So now You've got your hand on the controller. You've got your power position back, and you've got your autonomy in full control. Meaning that what do I want to experience because I want to experience, right? Because I got to live with me. And if I'm not happy, I'm going to put off all these shitty different vibrations that's going to push everybody away. And they're going to be like, fuck that guy. He doesn't make me feel good to be around him because he doesn't like being around himself. So you understand that internal process is of the utmost highest importance, and you just execute on that. And then to bring it back to the gamification of it, this whole place in my ideation of it, right, works better if you consider it as a game because that decreases the importance level. Additionally, right, if you are in a game and you're playing a game and your buddy logs off and his character's still there, right? You know your buddy's not the character in the game. Your buddy is in the fucking game. So you're in a game, which means that it has certain rules and regulations and whatever, right? But who cares? Because you can play the game however you want to play it. And as you treat it more and more as a game, that seriousness comes down, which means the stress releases, which means the blinders come off, which means now you can actually choose, like you're not a slave, what different state that you want to go into. And as you choose the better and better states, you start to compound those over time, and you build this foundational vibrational reality of being super fucking legit all the time. You just feel fucking amazing, right? And once you have that feeling state of empowerment, control, feeling good, and you get to creatively select the different details of your life in the way that a blueprint architect can build any type of blueprint. Oh, I like my Ferrari that I manifested, right? I created the Ferrari, but now I actually think it would look cooler if it was purple and had these tires. So now you just go into the state of having it right there. No patience required because you know inevitably that state has to express itself. The universe is amoral and it is not a sentient entity in of itself, meaning that it is here to support you. It's here to reflect who you are, to show you who you are, because not out of judgment, out of the same way that you need a gas gauge to show you how much gasoline you have in your tank. Because if you don't know how much gas you have, you don't know to refill it. So if your universe wouldn't show you all of the unwanted stuff, you wouldn't have any type of inclination to change the causative point of all that unwanted stuff. You would just be suffering eternally. So you're really happy that this thing is reflective, because when you have a bunch of stuff going on, you go, oh shit, I got a bunch of beliefs that are all fucked up. All sorts of fucked up. So now what you do is you take that information and you go, oh wait, nothing's fucking final, because every single day of my life, for the entirety of my life, everything has been changing. So now that everything has been changing, you understand that you just are the changeless one. You're the one who's always walking around as you. You never are not you. So what is cool about that is you can lock in different versions of you. Now I'm always wealthy. Now I always have more than enough. Now I'm a fucking beast. Now I get everything I want. Now my life goes the way I want to. You just lay these tracks of generalized empowerment. And then once that generalized empowerment is super legit, then you put the minutia of life on top of that really strong foundation. Because if you have a self-concept of everything going well for you all the time, no exceptions, when you go into a business venture, what's going to happen in the business venture? It's going to go well for you no matter what you do, right? If you have a strong self-concept of robust health and then you start getting into athletics, what's going to happen? You're not going to get fucking injured. You're too healthy. You're just going to be shown over and over and over again how strong and healthy and fucking magnificent you are, like a beast, right? So you build your foundation out. And as you build your foundation out, you nuke all of the unwanted states. You fucking atom bomb them. Oh, what if I don't have enough money for the jar of pickles I wanted to buy next month? Oh no, I'm not gonna have enough schmeckles for the pickles. If I don't get the pickles, then I won't get that sweet pickle juice that I've been craving. It's stupid, because you're just creating that reality. The same energy and expenditure it takes to think about the lack of pickle juice that you have you can immediately adopt a state internally of you in a fucking warehouse like the Matrix when they load in all the guns of 400,000 pickles and go, I have all these pickles. Which one do I want? Which one looks good in the cabinet? I could have a fucking 1,000 pickle jars in my mind right now. And I know that based off of the internal movements of my awareness, it has to be expressed through law. So now I'm operating within the law because the law is reliable. The law is always showing you who you are. So if my chronic internal state is me having way fucking more than I could ever imagine, it is a direct vibrational counterpart and or solution to the state of me anticipating not having enough. That's why your in the moment awareness is so important, because your anticipatory expectation, vibratory resonance is preceding you into whatever you're going into. So as you get that control point under your control, now you can lay tracks into whatever you want. You just fucking walk into what you want and you go from victory to victory to victory. So I know you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to leave comments with future videos that you would like to see. And additionally, the link tree has links to my coaching. If you'd like something more in depth, the Modern Metaphysics Protocol and the Spartan 1 Human Optimization Protocols are fantastic. Feel free to read the descriptions and email me if that's something you'd like to do. On top of that, you have normal coaching, which is just calls, texts, and etc. You'll see it all in the link tree. More important than any of that stuff, go conquer, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.